what about internally though? What about inside of warehouses? I mean, you've seen that. You must have seen examples of this when you visited, Amazon's warehouse facilities, even the ports themselves. Is there not a role for that technology there?
There is so much. I mean, and it's so much more than we know, because there's this
Yeah.
paradox. I need to give it a name. There's this paradox where when a facility becomes sufficiently autonomous, it becomes invisible to people
Mm,
because there's nobody there working there to even tell you that
yeah.
it exists. So the
Right.
most autonomous warehouses I've been in were the biggest surprise to me, because you walk in and it's like 10 people and you're like, how come I didn't know about this? Well, there's nobody
Yeah.
documenting
Well,
it.
you know. Well, what? I don't think companies want to advertise that either, do they?
Um, that could be a
Because
part of it.
every company that is, employing or deploying, robotics technology and others, I mean, the real reason is to reduce overhead and, eliminate employees. I mean, that's it. But no company will tell you that. It will always be to, well, we're augmenting our employees and we're helping them be more productive and all that, which I always thought was just a load of bullshit.
Yeah,
So,
Gene, I
but
think you're right about that. They're worried about that perception. That's true.
yeah, so maybe that's why it's invisible as it is. And think about Amazon. I mean, my God, if they were, you write a story on some of their invisible warehouses, like you're calling them, and the amount of employees that they reduce. I mean, they would come under such fire for it. All right, Christopher. So, I'm interested in hearing, in the final few minutes that we've got here, about what you've learned. Okay, I mean, you spent Jesus, like months of your life going out to all these different places. You visited ports, you visited warehouses, you spent time with truckers, a distribution center for FedEx, you visited as well. So actually, let me go through just a few of these. I have never personally been to any of these places, and I'm sure most of your readers haven't either. Okay, so you talked at the beginning of this conversation about like the port in LA. Okay, when you went and visited the port in LA, we'll start with that. What did you walk away with? Like, what did you learn that you didn't know about that port that kind of blew you away? And by the way, you're a tech writer, so you would think none of these things would really surprise you. But what were you like? Like, oh my god, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the number one thing I came away with was just a sense of awe, because I think that technology can be an abstraction. The scale of the global economy can feel like an abstraction. When you're standing in the middle of something so gigantic and you are
Mm,
watching, the movement of all the goods which actually comprise our economy, right? The material
yeah,
side of our economy,
yeah,
it really impresses on you. It's like, I imagine it's like, doing the trench run with the Death Star or something, and you're like, that's not a moon. It just feels overwhelming, and
right.
yet it also makes it concrete and it makes it personal. And I think that number one thing that I learned was, so many of these things feel remote. It feels like, oh, some factory worker in Southeast Asia, what do I have to do with them? Our lives are so intimately connected. We just don't feel it. We're not cognizant of it day to day. But I just want people to come away with this idea that every object that you touch, a human being made it, a human being just like you, who's not so
Right.
far away, and it came to you through the hands of countless other human beings. And when these systems are taxed as they are now, um, you know, life can get difficult. So I really came away with that kind of astronauts, pale blue dot sense of like, oh crap, like we really are connected. And if we
Sure.
take these systems for granted, we do so at our own peril.